You have looked into my eyes. You have seen what I am, but still you're by my side, telling me I can't. And there are times I've caused you pain, and times I've made mistakes. Somehow you use them all to make the eye you made. Oh, every good thing I have done, everything that I've become, everything.
Good afternoon and welcome to All About Us Teen Talk TV, where our mission is to motivate our youth to create opportunities for themselves to define their greatest desires. I am your host, Ms. Johnson. I have over 20 years experience in the healthcare field. I have also developed several community-based programs in our local community and have also initiated locally and currently working on international awareness. I am also the CEO and founder of YRAP, that's Young Women Rising Above Perceptions. We help young women define their vision, write their vision, encourage them to create strategies to stay on a road to success, and also help them define where it is that they want to be, what their passion is. I am also the CEO and founder of All About Us Youth Magazine. You can order your All About Us Youth Mag. It is a parent-teen magazine. You can order that at www.AAUYM. I am also the executive director and producer of All About Us Teen Talk TV and radio. You can hear us every Monday, Thursday, and watch us here every Thursday at 4 p.m. And Friday morning, you can listen to us at 9 a.m. If you go to our website, you'll be able to get all of our shows and you'll be able to follow us. You can also tweet us during this show at CJ at AAU TV Radio if you have any questions. We want to take a minute to thank our sponsors, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, who are, again, the founders of the Whitney Johnson Foundation, which is a 501(c) organization. They are also CEO and CFO founders of All About Us Youth Magazine and executive producers of All About Us Teen Talk TV. Today, we will be talking about parenting in the 21st century. We have a special guest, Ms. Yolanda Miller, Social Works for You. The quote of the day is, one of the most important things we as adults can do for young children is to model the kind of person we would like them to become. That is by Carol B. Harriman. We will be right back after the following commercial. So join us, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, GMC, and the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with the one and only Madhouse TV.
You are the man.
Welcome back to All About Us Teen Talk TV. If you're just joining us now, we are going to be talking about parenting in the 21st century. We have a very, very special guest in the studio. We have two very special guests in the studio. I want to take the time, a few minutes, to introduce one special young lady that you will see recurringly in the next couple of months. Her name is Miss Michelle Estrada. So I want you just to welcome her and just tell us a little bit about yourself, Michelle.
Well, my name is Michelle Estrada, and I'm a student at Nassau Community College. I'll be graduating this semester. I'm studying commercial art, and I'm interning here with Mrs. Johnson to learn more about TV production and web design.
We thank you and we welcome you for joining us today in this conversation as well. But to introduce our guest, Miss Yolanda Miller, she is a community advocate, a mediator, a parent, child advisor, and life coach. And she also has her organization, Social Works. She is the CEO and CFO of Social Works, quotation for, quotation you. Thank you for joining us today, Miss Miller. So just tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've come to your organization, developing your organization as well.
Okay. Again, my name is Yolanda Miller. I have my bachelor's from St. Augustine's College. I have my master's degree from Adelphi University. I also am a licensed social worker in the state of New York, and I'm currently working on my clinical piece to be a clinical social worker in the state of New York. Currently, I have a business called Social Works, as you mentioned, for you. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I devised that business is because I have been working for child welfare for 14 years. I was a probation officer with the New York City Department of Probation, working with the Juvenile Intensive Supervision Unit. Mm-hmm. And I've come to find that working with children is what I like to do. I like to work with parents, but I really want to make a difference. I really want to make parenting effective, and so that we can really work with our children and make them productive adults.
You know, as I was thinking about parenting in the 21st century, how far we've come. It's amazing, the 19th and then to go into the 20th century, so much has changed and so much is changing in how rapidly we have evolved in the 19th to the 20th century. So, you know, parenting is really, it's changing. It's like, how can it change, even though, you know, some of us that are parents and future parents, you know, when you, Michelle, I just want to ask you a question. As you were growing up in your parents, what was one of the things that you always wondered about parenting? What is one thing that you kind of disagree with? Just, you, I mean, as a young lady, you know, for teens that are looking and young people, what is that one thing that you've always wanted to ask?
Well, I guess just growing up being a young teen, you just want more freedom, especially as a female, you know, living in a Hispanic household, you know, your father doesn't let you go out or do anything like that. Parties, you feel like you're missing out. So, you know, just as you grow up, you realize where those intentions came from. I'm a little on the border at this point, just to the fact that, you know, I feel like being exposed and having some experiences also helps you grow. So, I mean, where's the fine line, you know? Well, that's probably one of my questions.
Where's the fine line?
I'm sorry, I had to laugh. I didn't mean to laugh at you, but I have a teenager, and that is her number one thing. Mommy, I want more freedom. Mommy, I just want more freedom. I want to be able to do more. And when you said that, it's hard, but I know that's my job, is to guide her and make the rules, because I know that right now she wants freedom. I said, oh, 16, you know, I understand that, but my job is to guide you and direct you, and later on you will understand why I made those rules. So I had to laugh. I'm sorry.
That's one thing I think we think about as we're all growing up. when are we going to get that freedom, especially when we get on our teen years? It's like, I'm 13 now, I'm grown, I can do this, I can go there, I can do this. And it's like you really have to think, as a parent, with everything that's going on. And, just reading this week, human trafficking.
Yes, yes.
It just blows my mind what is happening now, and what we have to do to protect our children. So today we really wanted to just talk and tap into a little bit, the conversations, the questions that I think that parents would ask, especially with young ladies.
Yes.
Being that prostitution and human trafficking is on the rise, STDs is on the rise among teens. It's just so much that, we as parents need to, stand back and just build that strong bond of communication. As a teen, I'm just going to ask you before we get into Miss Miller. I'm quite sure this question you would ask her. How is it? Did you find it very hard to have a communication?
Oh yeah.
With your parents, struggle with that communication bond as far as talking to them and telling them, what some of your thoughts were in your head.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think at that age you probably look at them like old people that don't understand you, So yeah, definitely it was tough,
I just
breaking
had to
that barrier, So I think it's important to like instill that in your children from a young age to, be open and just, you have to be the example, as a parent.
Exactly. That was the quote of the day.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
What I find though, and I don't know if you find as well in mentoring, especially the young girls, the Latino young ladies, I hear that a lot. It's like, I want that freedom. It's very hard for them to have a communication. They struggle with that communication. Yes. And I think in African American as well, in Latinos, it's hard for them to communicate with their parents. Why is that, Ms. Miller? I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure, from what
It's
you've
because
heard.
we're old and we don't know. That's why. Well, I think today it's so much. We used to call it peer pressure, but you have so much social media. You have so much different influences. You have the websites. You have the texting. So it's so much communication. Like someone would say that the cell phone kind of took the communication away from the parenting, and it left out other things, and so that's very important. But I still believe that communication is important, and I think by us being the example, talking to our children, they react to the way we talk to them. If we crucify them for mistakes, then they would feel like they can never communicate with us. It's important to keep it open, to listen. Listening is the hardest part. Listening to your children, observing them, knowing what they're doing. It's very important because it all comes together and it ties. And if they're comfortable, then they'll communicate. If they feel like you're just rigid, mom is just rigid, she doesn't understand me, then they won't. And they'll use those outside influences. So we have to be open with our children.
We definitely have to be open, especially at this day and age. I feel that communication bond, you really have to keep it open. Now that you're a little bit older, you're finding it a little easier to speak to them your opinion. You can be more opinionated,
Definitely.
so to speak.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not trying to start trouble, Mom. I'm just
Right.
but today we really want to target, some questions that parents might have. And I just want, Ms. Miller, for you, if you can, to define what parenting is and how has that definition changed here in the 21st century.
Parenting has always been the same. It's about guidance, direction, giving the nurturing to make a child become a productive adult. It has not changed. And we have to use the guidance and discipline and what we know what's best to do for our children to make them, again, a productive adult. But the changes have come about, I think also, we're back in the 19th century, we would say, we had more time with our children. Today, I find that parents are working a lot of jobs. They're trying to make ends meet. Prices are going up. Everything is going up. Nothing is going down. So parents are out there trying to make money, again, trying to make ends meet. It's not that they don't want to parent, but then they have so much influence for the children to get into. Again, we have the technology, we have the sports, we have just different things that these children are engaging in. So we have to create an even barrier there so that we have time for the children, plus making bills and support systems are very essential. Grandparents and neighbors and just a support system is what is very important. A lot of times today, people get offended if you speak to their children out of turn or if you say something to their children. We need to get back to the natural because it takes a village to raise a child.
Exactly, exactly. There's so much going on. Even I've noticed that even in the schools,
Yes.
you know, the parents, you can't even go to speak to the teachers because you got some parents that are, you know, just willing, just ready to jump down the teacher's throat.
Yes.
And then you have the child who's standing there looking and replicating. So how are we going to train a child if we're not controlling the parent? So now, you know, that goes back to parenting though, because now we have babies having babies having babies.
Yes.
So it comes to be a different story when you have young people who are having babies and there's no one modeling for them.
Yes.
And, you know, that's a struggle. Not saying that there are not parents out there who aren't modeling, but they're looking at their peers. And it's just so amazing. It's just mind-boggling.
And
what is
teenage
happening.
parenting is very difficult because when you haven't, how do you learn how to parent when you haven't parented, when you're so young? So it's a very vicious cycle in a way, a cycle that we need to provide education, abstinence, and different options for children, for teenagers, to know that there are options out there. Because if you don't learn, and one of those shows, I think we talked about Miss Johnson, 16 and Pregnant,
Oh, yeah.
where they glamorize. You know, that's another entity. We have them glamorizing 16 and Pregnant. And let's be real. That's not the norm,
That's not
okay?
the norm.
Trying to go to school, trying to raise a baby, trying to keep a boyfriend. I mean, in our 30s and 40s, it's hard to maintain a relationship. At 16, you know? So we really have to get back to the roots because that's very difficult when it's glamorized.
That is true. You know, I just, on our radio show Monday night, we talked about purity reigns, talked about how important it is to understand your body and understand who you are before you love someone else. And the one thing when I was doing the study, it was alarming to me, is that when you go to cdc.com and www. Human Health and Services, I was looking up statistics, and they did a survey. And in this survey, they were talking to young African American girls and Latinos. It was just a particular group that I was focused in on because of the conversation that we were having. And one thing that they said in the survey was that their parents never talked to them that had that conversation about sex. They never talked to them about saying no, even though common sense, you know, at that age is no, you know,
Yes.
you're not supposed to go there. And they never talked to them about conceptives, doing, you know, practice of not getting pregnant. And it's just alarming how many girls responded, you know, honestly to that. But also what was alarming to me was that they had 15, but now they've lowered the age to 9. You have 9-year-olds who are growing at such, you know, growing into maturity at such a young age that they're having babies, either through molestation, incest, or rape, but they're having that contact. And that is alarming to me. And it's very sad because they're getting younger. So it's just reminding me of 16 and glamorizing pregnant.
Yeah, and even on TV, I'll be honest with you, and I'm sorry, I don't want to tell my age, I'm very sensitive about my age, but back in the day, we had shows, the Jeffersons and Tom and Jerry. I mean, if you look at these shows now, you watch regular TV, it's, what are they showing? So when you're 8, 9, look what they're giving in front of you. People engaging in sexual activity. So it's no wonder that the age is becoming younger because the influence is out there.
Exactly. And then even cartoons.
Yes.
Cow and chicken. I'm like, cow and chicken. Have you seen that?
No. I remember my daughter was watching Zoe 101 back, and I couldn't, no parental guidance. They were all just kids just doing whatever they felt like doing. I said, I told them, that's not real. That's not real. You know, you have to come back to reality. And so.
But as we're talking about this, another reality was I saw on the news. I know our conversation is going. It's not going west, but it's going in a good direction. Yes. Now, one thing, the young man in Maryland, Upper Maryland, he was, I believe, 16, 17. He was playing the video games this weekend, and he had 3 of his friends with him. I don't know what game they were playing, but whatever game it was, he was really upset. He got mad. So he decided he was going to shoot them. He shot them. One he fatally shot, one he fatally wounded.
Yes, I heard about that.
Then he wounded himself. And you know, a lot of the things that I think about in parenting is a lot of parents are also missing the signs of the psychological mental illness that's going on. And I don't know if you can elaborate on that a little bit. Just the signs, what that parents are missing as far as mental illness, because that's one thing that just it had to be some kind of signs for his mother that she missed because she was working. She's constantly working, trying to provide for the
Well, I
household.
mean, it starts at a very young age. I mean, focus. Focus is a big thing. When your child is not focusing, I mean, we all have children and they're all over the place. But when they can't sit still, when they can't focus on what you're saying, when they can't focus on a particular activity for a certain amount of time, that's a concern. Aggression, hitting, hitting back, different things of that nature. You have to look at the child and just not say that that's just normal childhood behavior. Sometimes with the schools, if your child is not talking, if your child is not engaging, children get frustrated. It could start at a very young age when children don't know how to communicate and they're throwing tantrums and they're frustrated. That turns into anger. And these are things that we really have to look at as parents. And don't shy away and don't say that I'm alone or my child is different. No, engage. I think we had something we talked about like family engagement. That is the time when we need to engage with our school officials, with our guidance counselors, with our social workers, reach out because we have so many services that help. That's what it's about. You don't have to stand alone. If your child is having issues, get them evaluated. Don't be ashamed. And follow the recommendations. I know we have jobs, we have different things, but we have to invest in our children because they're our future. So that's a big thing that we have to do.
That was we introduced to the Whitney Johnson Foundation. It's called the PSC, Parental Engagement, Social Engagement, Community Engagement.
Yes.
They all go
Together.
in hand.
Yes.
If we're having a problem getting parental engagement because when they go to the PTA, a lot of the parents don't show up.
Yes.
And then when the child is failing, they come to the school, why is my child failing?
Yes.
Well, we sent you a letter home, we called your home, we left you a message, sent you an email, and now you show up at the end of the year and want to know why your child's failing.
Yes.
So not saying that parent is not engaged. I don't want to, get any calls or emails or texts saying that you're not engaged in your child's life, but there's a miscommunication, a misconnect, that you need to find that connection where you have the time to really sit down with your child to really find out what's going on in the school. And another thing I said we wanted to attempt to address was the social engagement. A lot of young people are having problems communicating with each other because they spend too many hours texting on the cell phone.
Yes.
Oh, I'll text you. Can you imagine texting your mother in 1979? I'll be to dinner in a few minutes. Can you imagine texting? What? Mama would have put that phone down.
Never.
She'd been like Wonder Woman. You would have thought she was Wonder Woman and all that. What? But now it's like the social engagement is like they're talking. When are you coming down to dinner? I mean, really?
Yes.
Are you going to send me an email? Really?
Yes.
I mean, seriously? So that's one thing we want to address in community engagement is really getting the community involved in what is going on. Say that by chance you were my neighbor, maybe your mother was working and she was left alone, a latchkey kid. Why not get involved in her life and encourage her to stay positive, to stay focused? Because a lot of our kids are being left alone and there's too much time on their hands. So I just said it's time for us to really become community involved.
And that's a very valid point that you bring. We do need to reach out to other children, bring them into the activities. And there's so many free activities too.
Yes.
People think that things cost money. The libraries, the community centers, they have park events. They have so many different things that are free.
True.
But we need to go out in the community and reach to our young people. Like I mentored at Madonna Heights, taking the girls out sometimes and just being with them. And you'd be surprised with what they say and being involved with them. And so I think it's important. Church is important.
Yes.
People shun away.
Yes.
But it is important
Yes.
to have God, whether you believe, and I'm just saying, whether it's Buddha or Muhammad. But the church is a necessity.
It's important.
And they have community activities and they have different things. And they have social groups where you don't even have to be involved, where the teens can come together. So parents, us old fogies, can move out of the way and the teens can have productive talk. And again, the churches need to reach out and talk.
Yes.
Today's talk. Don't shy away. what's going on with your bodies, what's going on out here, and different things, what's going on in the community, how to behave. And I'm just saying on social events where you're seeing killings of young Black and Latino men, we need to come together. We need to really reach out and deal with it. And the church is a good place. Don't shun away. Be involved, and the kids will come. I believe they will come if they feel it is socially accepted. If there's acceptance, they will come.
That is true. And you know, well, I'm from the South, because I know y'all hear my southernness. I'm from the South. But our church was the center. Matter of fact, where I lived, the church was right next door. So there was no reason why we couldn't get up and go to church. There was no reason, because all we had to do was walk there. Even in the rain, we walked to church with Grandma. But with that said, they always were like a center. Like on Fridays when we got out of school, they always had something for us to do.
Right.
On Saturdays, in the summer, there was 4-H clubs. They always made sure that there was some kind of activity that we participated in. That's why when you said church, it was always involved. Even if you didn't come to church, the church has really reached out to the community.
Yes.
So, you know, I pray that the churches will, you know, rise up and continue to reach out to the community, because that is a center that we really
They have
need.
to update, and that's what I'm saying. Don't get mad. I don't want phone calls and texts like, what do you mean? But it's the 21st century. We have to come into what's happening in society. We cannot shun away. Yes, we use the word to teach, but we have to accept and we have to upgrade. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Don't give, upgrade. And I believe that the teens and the children will come.
That is true. Now that we, you know, kind of got off the subject a little, well, we didn't really get off the subject because it's really right in line. But what is parental engagement? What is the definition? Let's give a definition.
Parental engagement, according to Social Works for You. Again, it's engaging. It's engaging with all factors. For example, you gave an example of a teacher. The teacher's job, yes, is to teach, but we have to work together. Whether your child is having problems or just everyday activities, what's learned in the school has to be reinforced at home. So that's part of the engagement too, learning what's going on. The church, the activities, family engagement, and it's just engaging with every network that's out there. And part of the program that I do is community resources. There are so many resources that are available. Again, even going back to you saying help, there's networks and there's counseling agencies. There's different things out there that we must engage with in order to have parental engagement. And I think that would stop being ashamed, stop feeling alone, and reach out to your community and those others too. Let's not judge. Let's come together.
Let's come together. That is so vitally important that we come together, but also listen to the youth.
Yes.
And I think, you know, just by having town hall meetings with the youth to hear, did you often wish that, you know, there would be a town hall meeting or something for parents to understand, look, this is what we want to do. This is what I like to do. Have you ever thought about that when you were younger?
I can't say that I have.
Did you have someone important in your life that you could go talk to other than your mother? I mean, it could have been your aunt. Could have been a friend of your mother's that was more open.
Yeah, I would probably say my older sister.
Okay.
I was more comfortable with her.
Okay. Well, at least you had somebody to talk with and engage with. And a lot of the youth that I talk to, they're like, I have nobody that they could really engage with, especially some of my Latino sisters. Hey, I'm giving y'all a shout out. I love them. I mean, the young ladies that I mentor, and it's kind of hard because a lot of them have a hard road because they're from other countries and they're coming here and they really don't have family. The only family that they have is the churches that they network with or the next door neighbor or something. But I want to encourage you in some way, even in your walks of life, to give back, to volunteer. We have to teach our youth to volunteer, to really engage in community-oriented service work. And I think that is so important. I don't know, do they require youth now to do that? I'm just curious, just having a conversation.
As far as I know, you mean through school?
Yeah, through school.
No.
Are there any parenting programs that require community service that you know of?
No, but we're just reaching out. There's no parenting. Like, it's what you do. For instance, I teach praise dance to the kids at the church. And it's amazing because some of them can't afford, to be honest, the lessons and things, but they really enjoy dancing make me think I'm Debbie Allen or something back in the day. But just giving back and to see their faces when they're performing and doing it for God, but just performing in general. I just think it's wonderful. We have to reach out too to make sure that when you're fortunate, you give back. It's really important to give back.
I want to ask this, but I know we talked about it. What in speaking with the parents that you engage in and interact with, what has been the most challenging thing for them to interact with their children with on their day-to-day activities?
Okay. Well, first let me go back because what I said before about working in child welfare.
Okay.
Because I engage with all parents of different ethnicities, and you know it's funny how I find the same thing over and over again about self hate or the inability to really love oneself and to deal with the issues. It carries on, and I find that with so many parents. I was having a discussion today with a parent that you have to have self-care, and in that you have to train. It's a lot of cycles, but first you have to train yourself in the way that you think. A lot of parents think negative about themselves. They feel past mistakes or depression or different issues like that that they cannot deal with, or they feel that they cannot deal with. And it's so important, I tell them, that you have to deal with it, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's drugs, whether it's depression. You have got to get a grip. You've got to come to reality about what's going on in your own life. Stop self-hating. Train your mind to think positive, that I can overcome these circumstances. I have community interventions. I have people like social works for you and just different things. And even in the child welfare system, I know people shun away from child welfare, but you have your caseworkers. And the caseworkers are there to help. Trust me, we don't want to take children. We want to make families. That's the whole goal of child welfare, is keeping families together, putting those services in place. And even if you don't have a child welfare case, I just find that people have got to learn to deal with their past, accept it, deal with it, and it will help them, because once you love yourself, you can parent and you feel good about what you're doing.
We are going to take a quick commercial break, and please join us back on the other side after this commercial. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century with Miss Yolanda Miller.
$1.3 million women are victims of physical assault by an intimate partner each year. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the majority of cases aren't reported to the police. Most people who are in an abusive relationship don't even know they're in one. The truth is, all abusive relationships boil down to one thing: control.
How do you like it? My new dress.
Are you out of your mind? You look like a prostitute. We're not going out with you dressed up like that in public.
But what am I supposed to wear?
Wear something decent. You can't wear that out in public. We're going to be late. Get back in there and pick a different outfit. I'm going to go run some errands. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Please be ready, okay?
Fine, I'll change. Fine.
Abuse is not always physical, leaving wounds that are visible on the outside. Emotional abuse is just as painful, only these wounds are hidden on the inside.
Are you out of your mind? You're crazy. You look like a prostitute.
Know that abuse is abuse, no matter what the form.
Look at me.
Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Physical abuse scars the body.
I just wanted to love me.
But mental abuse scars the mind.
What you just saw was an example of a relationship that is emotionally abusive. Nobody has the right to tell you how to dress or how to act. If someone really cares for you, they won't tear you down. They will build you up.
How do you like it?
Wow. You look Great, fantastic. But then again, you look great all the time.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd like it. It's my new dress. I bought it just so we could go out tonight.
You look stunning.
Thank you. But I think I'm going to take a sweater just in case it gets cold tonight.
Great idea. I'm going to take one too. Let's go.
All relationships are not perfect, but a healthy relationship is when two people bring out the best in each other and have each other's good in mind. Take your time to know someone instead of rushing into something. It is better not to involve yourself with an abusive person than to try and get out of a domestic violence situation.
If someone is abusive to you and you need help, please call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. They have highly trained experts available 24/7 who will speak with you confidentially and offer information regarding the unhealthy aspects of your relationship, resources, or immediate support for victims to find safety and live lives free of abuse. Domestic violence affects us all.
It affects us all.
It affects us all. 모두에게 영향을 줍니다.
Che ci ricarte tutte.
It affects us all.
Domestic violence.
Welcome back to All About Us Teen Talk TV with our very special guest, Miss Yolanda Miller, Social Works for You, and Miss Michelle Estrada, our wonderful, wonderful young lady, college, and our intern. And we want to thank you for joining us. But we're talking about parenting today in the 21st century. The one question I wanted to ask Miss Miller is, out of the many years of your practice, what has been the most challenging aspect of your job?
Okay, well, we were just engaging in a conversation. It's, if I may, it's a lot. Well, first thing is when earning the trust of a child, when they're telling you different things, and some of it is shocking, but to know that confidentiality is something you don't want to lose their trust by telling their parents what they've told you. So it's a very hard role. But the first rule is if it engages in any kind of self-harm or anything that harms the child, then confidentiality is pretty much thrown out of the window, for lack of a better word, because we have to protect children. But just knowing that to give them the advice, not to judge, is a very difficult thing of the job. And working with parents. Trying to, let me say this the right way, people are going to do what they want to do, okay? And we have the resources, we have the help, but I can't make anybody do what they don't want to do. So that's very difficult and frustrating. And thirdly, it's self-care for myself. You know, when I'm out here, I feel like I'm wearing 5 different masks. I'm the child welfare worker, I'm the caseworker, I'm the law enforcement, for lack of a better word, because I have to hold people accountable, and I have to go home to my own family and deal with my own child and my husband and family. So it's like a balance, always trying to find a balance. And my frustration, I'm not going to lie, is part of the reason why I do so much community advocacy and starting this program, because I want to help people who want the help. If you want to be empowered, if you feel that you want the services, I'm there. I go to bat 100%. And so that's kind of like my outlet. Social Works for You is my outlet to really help those people who want the help.
What keeps you balanced? You know, as a mother, a wife, a daughter, having a daughter, and child, what keeps you balanced?
God. If it wasn't for God, God is the balance. He is everything. You know, just going to Him in His Word. Being younger, and I'll be honest with you, it took time because I always wanted to do it my way. It wasn't overnight. I always felt like I was going to do it my way. I got to find a way. And as I'm getting older, I just realized that I don't have control. God has all of the control. If I just believe in Him and trust in Him, it's amazing. Everything falls into place.
Everything falls into place with His grace, favor, and mercy.
Yes.
I
yes,
believe
yes.
that. As a parent mediator, what are you finding to be the most challenging in counseling families today?
They hate each other. I said, wasn't there a time when you loved each other? I find that very difficult to see how degrading and people can really be. You know, at one point you did love each other, you did have care and some feelings about each other, and to focus on the children and not yourself. And that's a very hard job as a parent mediator because you really have to keep the focus on the children, not what happened 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and what he did and what she did and how it's really keeping the focus on the children. What is in the best interest of your children? And that's what we always try to bring it back to. Sometimes it's effective, sometimes it's not. But that is the most difficult thing when people are angry and it's about revenge rather than the children.
That is true.
I have a question for you.
Oh,
You know, even from when I was growing up, we didn't have social media. So now that that's around, I have nieces and nephews, and I see how it has a great impact in their life and, you know, how they view things, how they take things in. And as a parent, how would one have some sort of control over that? Because I notice they're getting these cell phones and everything like a very young age, and they have access to a world that years ago we didn't have access to. So how would you monitor
I think it's about being strong in the first sense and really deciding what age, because I think we really have to determine what age is appropriate to get a child a cell phone. I'm guessing the 8, 9, 10, no. I think teenage years, and it's about negotiation, setting the rules first, establishing the times that this phone will be used, and really being consistent. When you say it, that's what you mean. If the phone is utilized from 8 to 10 or whatever, that's the time. Then the phone comes in to my room or the neutral area. Because as you get older, we say my room, the kids are ready to flip out. But a neutral area, because it was so funny that you should say that. I had a parent conference with somebody, and the teacher was saying that this is disrupting the kids' sleep. They can't function. They come to school. They're ready to go to sleep because every time that phone is buzzing in the middle of the night, the kids are texting. So we're not monitoring. So it's okay because at the end of the day, we're not a kid's friend. We're their parent first, and we have to set the rules. A rule is a rule, and we guide it. When the phone comes off, the phone comes off. And just being consistent. When they're whining and if you start, the younger you start out, I think the better you are, because if you try to start at 13, 14, they respect you young, and then when you set a rule, they're more geared to understand it. So,
that is true. I'm just sitting here thinking I can't get over the social media.
Yeah, I think of also like if I had a kid, you know.
When you do?
You know, I don't know how. I mean, I think I'm gonna be very strict. You know, but I would like to give the child freedom, but when it comes to like FaceTime and that live chat, you know, with their peers and stuff, you just never know what's going on unless you're very involved and you know, and you have some sort of control. But I like the idea of having a neutral place and a schedule when they can use it, because then it gets out of hand and they will lose focus because they're in control of themselves at that point.
Yes, and I've had instances where the children are being bullied on the phone and different things, and the advice is, I'm like, go to the school. Don't wait. Go to the school. You know, parents feel like they can handle themselves. You go to the school because you want to, and I know the children get upset. Don't go to my school, but no. Go to the school. Let's try to solve this issue then, because if you don't nip it, then it only gets worse. You see the bullying, you see the issues that are going on. So it's very important to be, if you want to say overbearing, but involved. I don't call it overbearing. I call it involved.
Now, you said something very important, which I didn't ask. Disciplinary. That's key. That's a key thing. How do parents discipline their children in the 21st century. You know, I go in the store, the child's falling out on the floor. No, mommy, no. I mean, no. No, my sons know better. No, it's not a word. No, it's not in your vocabulary. If I ask you a question and I say, do you want vegetables? You're supposed to say, no, yes, you're going to eat some vegetables.
Right.
No, but that's when you respond, no. But now when I think of a lot of parents say, I send them to timeout. Timeout. When do you correct your child? And I have to ask this, what is New York State's law as far as correction?
I'm glad you asked that question first.
That's a good question.
I'm going to say this because, my children, I did not beat them. I only beat them unless they lied to me, they stole something, or they were somewhere where they were not supposed to be. But luckily, they didn't do 2 out of the 1.
Right.
So the one thing I had to spank for when they lied to me, I did spank them, I corrected, but I didn't overkill.
Right.
So what is the New York State disciplinary rule? I want to know. Let's clarify that.
It is not against the law to spank your child. It is against the law to leave bruises, welts on the child. So I'm not condoning it but spanking on the buttocks, disciplining a child is not against the law. Again, there's different forms of abuse. There's physical abuse. When you start leaving welts and bruises and burning children and taking it to the extreme and beating them with extension cords. Oh, you'll be surprised. It's taking it to the extreme. That's abuse. It's not against the law to, like I said, to discipline a child, but it has to be age appropriate. It has to be time functioning. For instance, if you're telling a 2-year-old to stand in the corner for 10 minutes, you know what? You've got 0. Okay? It has to be age appropriate. And at that time, a 2-year-old can understand when you're taking something away that they really want and for a certain amount of time, and just explaining and going over to them verbally what it is, the behavior that you're trying to get. And one thing that's really crucial that I find is that we can correct a child's behavior, but we also must recognize to reward and praise a child too. Sometimes we're just so busy and in our schedules and we're correcting everything that they're doing wrong, but we're not saying anything about what they're doing right. And I think children are geared to wanting to hear, like, okay, I did something right, not attention seeking by doing something wrong. But children are going to be children. But we have a whole segment in the parenting group, which people are welcome to take, and about why children misbehave and how to appropriately discipline children.
That is true. We are going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back to Parenting in the 21st Century with Miss Yolanda Miller from Social Work for You and Miss Michelle Estrada and myself, your host, Miss Johnson. We'll be right back.
Old Spice body spray will make you feel so powerful to blow your mind right in front of your face. Goodbye. Oh no! Power!
Automatic freshness, softness, and static control has never been easier with the Bounce Dryer Bar. I just stick it to the inside of my dryer, and I never have to remember.
Oh, Old Spice body spray makes you smell like power! It's so powerful it sells itself in other people's commercials. You smell like outdoor freshness.
You smell like power.
Yeah, I do. Power!
Try this routine to feel fresh and clean. Pair Charmin Fresh Mates with your Charmin.
Oh, Spice body spray is too powerful to stay in its own commercial. That's right. Power! Old Spice body spray can change a regular smelling man into a man who smells like power!
Now, how is this? Wow, you know what? I actually do feel more powerful.
Potato chips! Power! It's me.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Welcome back to All About Us Teen Talk. We're talking about parenting in the 21st century. We have the very lovely ladies, Miss Yolanda Miller from Social Work for You, as well as a social worker for the state of New York, and Miss Michelle Estrada and myself. Michelle had a very important question that she wanted to ask Miss Miller, so we're going to turn it over to you.
Yes. My question is regarding tensions amongst parents, you know. In a household, that's going to happen. In a relationship, there's going to be arguments. But how can you advise parents to keep that from their children, or can you explain like the effects that it would have on a child growing up?
Naturally, anything that you're giving out in the home, if you're arguing in front of a child, if there's abuse in front of the child, you can guarantee that that child will become an aggressive, hostile, angry child. That's how we get bullies. Believe me, what's going on in the home a lot of times is facilitated when you see bullies in school and people doing that. I think to alleviate that, again, is communication, trying to deal with parents and talk to them about appropriate measures. When you're angry, somebody go for a walk. When you can come together, sometimes writing down what you're angry about and coming back later to discuss it, because when you're angry, it's never the time to talk, because I don't think anything good is going to come out of it. And those are just different techniques, but I do offer a co-parenting class, because if you're not on the same page, kids are smart. They know to play one against the other. They pick up everything that you do. And going back to what Ms. Johnson said, we are the model for our children. If we are angry, bitter, fighting people, guess what? We get angry, bitter, fighting children. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. So again, not being ashamed of what's going on in your home, reaching out, breaking generational curses, as I call them, because that's how grandma did it. That's how my mama did it. That's how, I've had family members, they used to talk about how they had guns, and they used to come and that Sunday dinner turned into gunfights. I was like, what? No wonder grandma, Wow. But stop, break those generational curses. Those are not the ways. Those are the old ways. But this is the 21st century, and we can coexist and we can co-parent. Everybody's human. Everybody gets angry. It's how we deal with it. So that's how I would say.
Okay. Thank you.
That's so true. When we look back at the years of reading books about educating our children, what would you say is the most effectual method to raise a child?
That is a difficult question. It depends. Okay, let me be honest. It depends on the kind of child that you have. I think effectively is communication, listening. I think because communicating is talking, but sometimes it's just listening and observing. You have to know the kind of child that you have, and that will tell you which way you need to go. You need to monitor your children's social lives, who they're socializing with, even from a child, even your play date, who you're selecting to be around your children. It's important because you are the child's first teacher. You are the first influence. So I think, again, just knowing what kind of child you have really tells you what services or how you need to parent, because a child may be cooperative and you might have a hard-headed child. So it's based on how that child behaves and how you observe that child to be.
That is so true. You know, we oftentimes we think as parents, what are the rules of parenting and how do we engage them in the 21st century?
My number one rule, and I just shared it, we are not our children's friends. And that's a hard concept. We're not. We're not there to be a dictator to bash their heads in, don't get me wrong, but we have to lay down the rules. The rules are rules, and they need to start from when a child comes into play, when a child is learning and teaching them. So that's really, I think, the number one rule is we're not our children's friends, and it's okay to question a child. It's okay to observe a child. It's okay to question a child, but it's most important to listen before you react. Because sometimes, like I said, when we're frustrated, particularly when a child is doing something wrong, we tend to lash out. But we need to listen because maybe that child had a hard day, or maybe something's wrong, or maybe that child is ill, or we don't know, or just different things that's happening, especially in social media. Maybe that child is getting bullied. Maybe that child is having mental issues. And I don't want to go back to negative, but we have Columbine and these different things that this child may be reaching out for help. So we need to listen and seek the services. When you see the issues going on, seek the help. Do what you need to do because, you know, there's reasons why children act the way they act.
You know, that is so true. And, you know, as we're thinking and we go back, you're just looking over the years where you came from, how you were raised, and looking at today.
Yes.
It is very frustrating.
Yes.
And no, I'm not perfect.
Yes.
I'm still perfecting myself at my age.
Yes, yes, every day.
I will be 50 this year.
Amen.
So I'm going to be celebrating 50 years old. But the thing is, our children are dying at such early ages.
Yes.
They're killing themselves because they're stressed over education.
Yes, yes, yes.
Over just being bullied, as you said, over the community, just school, peer pressure, the pressure. And it is so sad that we are in the 21st century and we are facing all of this. And the question is, how can we resolve it? Even as parents, you know, as I was growing up, my grandmother would always watch us walk across the street to my girlfriend's house. Then she would call over there and ask, is Shavonna sure? And we used to be like, didn't you just see us walk in the house? I could never understand until I got older and I understood why she did it. Because she loved us.
Yes.
You know, so it's going to take a community to really come back to raise a child. And I just have to say I want to thank you, Ms. Miller, even though I know that you will be back again.
Yes.
And we will be having greater dialogues as far as parenting and other information you can bring to the table. But I do want to thank you for taking time out to come today.
Thank you for having
me. I want to thank you, Ms. Michelle Estrada, for setting in with us and just sharing your thoughts. And we would like you to look into that camera and just give your information and how they can contact you.
Okay. Again, my name is Yolanda Miller, and my agency is Social Works, the number 4 for you. I do have a blog at yhumphreye.wordpress.com, and you can also look up Social Works for You on Facebook, and my website will be coming soon. Thank you.
We will also be partnering and doing a parenting program in February. You can look it up on our website, www.aaum.com. Next week, please join us because we have Dr. Betsy Hill. She is from BrainWire. She will be giving away one of her programs. It's worth $4,000 on how to Common Core, study for Common Core education. Join us next Thursday, and thank you for joining us And we'll see you next Thursday. This is Miss Johnson. Have a good day.
Thank you.